All right, and I think we are live.
All right.
Welcome, everyone. Yeah, after a complete redo of the Zoom setup, welcome back to, well, I guess I'm going to still call it Bitcoin Brief. Welcome, everyone. Welcome, Jimmy Song, back to the show. And the main topic for the day, we're going to get right into it, is, of course, the BCash Halving. Because they are 2 blocks away. This wasn't supposed to happen for a few more hours, as we were discussing yesterday and the day before, but it's happening bright and early on the East Coast, even earlier on the West Coast. Most of the world should be awake for this. So we're going to go ahead and go to screen share. We're going to go over to coins.dance, and we're going to jump right into it and talk about what's going on. We're going to watch this in real time, and also talk about the consequences of this and what it means for actual Bitcoin, because this in itself is not really all that important. Jimmy, say hi to our guests, our awesome viewers, and we go from there.
Yeah. So Tone, you we had some trouble setting this up, but fate seems to have aligned with us, and we basically had. The last block on BCH was found 24 minutes ago. So really, we should be at block number 630,000 right now. But for whatever reason, they haven't found the block in 24 minutes. So we are at block number 629,998. And, halvings happen every 210,000 blocks. So it will be at 630,000, which is coming up. But yeah, there's a lot of things going on today. I'm sure we'll talk about all the news around this halving. It is very interesting though that we were projected to have it at around like 9:30 a.m. Eastern time. It's happening about an hour and a half earlier because it seems that a bunch of miners got on the network last night. And if you look at like fork.lol, I think. In the past day or so, the amount of hash rate on BCH has increased a little bit. So that might.
I like those charts. The Bitcoin versus BCash hash rate. There's a chart that you use. Is that it?
Well, I usually go to fork.lol.
Yeah, I like this one.
Okay, yeah, that works too.
It's pretty simple, but I kind of like it because you can also, you can put Bitcoin against it, and then you can barely see the Bcash hash rate.
Yeah.
So obviously, we have to just go to the last 2 years, and it's been a little longer than 2 years, but 2 years is good. Bcash has now been with us. How long has this plague been around? 2.5 now?
2.5, yeah, August 1st, 2017. So
right.
that was more than 2.5 years ago, actually.
Right, and look where Bitcoin hash rate is, and look where this disaster is. So it's 104 versus 3.5. So that's about 3%, and that's about where the price is as well. So so in about 20 minutes, we're assuming that hash rate will be cut in about half. So that hash rate will probably drop to approximately 2. And the Bitcoin hash rate will increase by a minuscule 1.5%.
Yeah, probably. I mean, it'll take some time for things to adjust because they do have a rolling difficulty adjustment on Bitcoin Cash. So what we can expect is for the block right after the halving, the first one that's half the reward, to take significantly longer, approximately 20 minutes instead of the normal 10 minutes, just because it hasn't difficulty adjusted yet. In about 12 blocks after that, we'll come to sort of like an equilibrium. I suspect that the people that will be mining will be pretty much Roger Ver and Jihan, and that's it.
Is Jihan still around? Like after he got fired, like what does he do now?
Well, no, he didn't get fired. He actually retook over Bitmain from Micree. So I'm not sure what the drama is over there at the current moment, but we do know that the What's miners are actually doing better than the Ant miners that Jihan's been selling.
So I want to take a look at the mining situation over there. Is that where is that? Is that in statistics? Is that in blocks?
I mean, you can just scroll down. They have a bunch of the stats there.
I want those that circular, like who's actually mining.
Oh, then you're gonna have to go to statistics probably.
Oh, here it is.
Oh, okay. Bitcoin hash rate.
Yeah, hash rate by mining pool. That's pretty much it.
No,
wait, but that can't be right. Why would Slush be mining BCash?
No, that's Bitcoin, not Bitcoin Cash. I think that's what you want to look at.
All right, so where's the Bitcoin? Where's the BCash one? Oh, this is coins.dance. That's why. I think it's cash.coin. I think it's
cash.coin.dance will get you the other one.
Yeah. That's what I was looking for.
All right, let's take a look.
There we go.
Yeah. And they have the hard fork coming up at 36 days. It's great.
I don't know any of these people. Who are these people?
I think it's just whoever wants to donate to CoinDance. I'm not sure why you would, but yeah.
This is CoinDance. I thought this was the BCash team people.
No. It's clearly Bitcoin.com is on there, so they want to make sure that BCash stays on this thing. But yeah, I think you can click.
It's either blocks or statistics. I forget which one it is.
I'm guessing it's stats, but yeah.
So maybe it's blocks. Yeah, there we go.
There we go. That's the client, so you want to scroll down. It's by mining pool. It's the one below it that you want to look at. Yeah,
latest cash blocks by mining pool. There we go. So Ant pool is still mining the majority. We have Via BTC, which is a shadow operation from I believe from Ant pool. We have BTC top, BTC.com. Oh, Hobie, that's surprising. I'm not familiar with Poolin. Wow, Bitcoin.com. You guys are slacking there.
Well, they just fired half their staff, right? So
maybe... the exchange part did. Because one company wants to control every aspect of the business, right? I mean, they control the wallet, they control the news, they control the mining. Well, kind of. They don't really control the mining, clearly by the size of their mining pool, but they are in very close cooperation with the other ones. And what else is there? Oh, the nodes. They are fake nodes that, when AWS crashes, all of a sudden 80% of their nodes go away.
So yeah, you could see that the IFP has no support right now, which is hilarious.
Explain that.
Yeah. So remember the infrastructure funding plan? They were going to split because of that. It seems like they've kissed and made up a little bit. Essentially,
they're not gonna tax their ecosystem.
Well, so I guess the feedback was just so terrible that they basically reversed course. Amory is basically raising money on his own, and there's a fund that you can contribute to. I think they've raised like $3 million worth of BCH. And basically, they're going to use that as the way to fund development instead of using a tax. So it's going to be more voluntary after the community sort of outrage that happened. The miners decided to back down a little bit, which honestly is not dissimilar to what happened with 2x. So, there you go.
Oh yeah, whatever did happen with 2x. Weren't they going to do like something other blockchain? What the hell is Block up to these days? Do you know?
What do you mean, a Block?
Yeah, the company Block where Garzik is.
Oh, I have no idea. I think they were doing something like kind of like what Factom used to, like just
Oh,
storing a
speaking of
bunch of data.
Factom,
Yeah.
hold on. Speaking of Factom, that nightmare is no longer with us. Let me get the CoinDesk article. Since we do have a couple of, since we can't wait a little bit until the next two blocks are found.
Yeah,
So here
for
we
some
go.
reason that next one, yeah.
Factom faces liquidation after investors refuse to request for more funding. This is how every single shitcoin ends. Eventually, they run out of other people's money. Eventually, they run out of fools to buy their scam coin, and all their projects is basically, hey, pay my developers perpetually to work on nonsense. It's like, imagine Jimmy Song and I start a shitcoin that, I don't know, mines asteroids on a different planet. And neither one of us know anything about mining, a little bit, nor how to get to the asteroids. But we're asking for money perpetually to keep us employed to solve a problem we A, have no ability of solving, and B, have no idea what we're doing. This is the story of every single shitcoin project.
Yeah, that's about right. I mean, the thing about Factom was that it was one of the earliest ICOs. I think Mastercoin and maybe MadeSafe Coin and Ethereum were the only ones that
Storage.
proceeded.
Storage was right there with them.
Yeah. So right around the same time, but this was one of the earliest ones, and this is I still remember in 2014 they released their white paper, and I wrote a series of articles about like why their white paper didn't make any sense, why you don't need a token to do what they purport to.
Of course not.
Need a token to do, and all this other stuff, and basically all their people just kept coming at me saying like, you're wrong. You don't understand. This is a whole new business model. 6 years later, I can finally say, I told you so. They have no business doing anything. This is the fate of every ICO. I'm honestly a little bit surprised that they lasted this long. I mean,
I know
6
that's
years
the frustrating part. I was
time.
just about to say that, Jimmy. I can't believe it takes this long for us to say "I told you so," because most of the people we're saying "I told you so" to have already left the space.
Yeah, I know, right? And it was, I mean, they raised something like 2,000, 3,000 Bitcoins in their token sale. And honestly, all like I think you got like 100 Factom per Bitcoin, something like that. And Factom's like Factoid is like worth $1 now. So like you did much worse like buying Factom than just keeping your Bitcoins, which is really the sad thing. There's still people that own the stupid token that's like not good for anything. And
Yeah,
basically
I mean, some people did sell at the top, right? So some people bought this thing dirt cheap. Some people did get out. So a few people did get very, very rich from the Factom, token. But all you did was distribute wealth from the incompetent to those that are good at trading. Like this is there wasn't anything there. Now that I think about my prior statement, Jimmy and I putting together an ICO to mine gold on asteroids will probably be more competent than Factom ever was, because I do have a geology degree, so I have something to do with that industry. And Jimmy's a pretty good engineer. So Jimmy and I claiming to fundraise to mine asteroids on Mars, we are more qualified than 90% of these, smart contract platforms.
Yeah, I mean, the sad thing is like when they released all of this and they were like crowing about like this a new business model and everything else. I was telling everybody that this didn't make any sense, and we've been telling people like this, but somehow there are always people that are like willing to believe in this ridiculousness. And I essentially they've been a company that's gotten like $18 million of funding from stupid VCs that didn't know what the hell they were buying. And basically they've been a cockroach on this industry, like sucking at the teat of idiots that don't know any better for 6 years.
And don't forget, Paul Snow got to speak in front of Congress as a blockchain expert. That bothered me to no end.
Yeah. I mean, the guy is like he had the fact that he took this money and became CEO and like sort of like twisted his brain and did all sorts of mental gymnastics in order to like create this thing. And like I know he knows better, right? Like I've talked to him before, and he lives in Austin and
Oh,
stuff.
yeah, he's from
I know
your
he
your
knows better.
hometown. Hey, I'm gonna
Yeah,
grab a cup of tea. But keep talking.
yeah, I know he knows better. He's but the fact of the matter is he wanted to make money as a rent seeker, and that's essentially what he did. He went out, he got money from the Bit Angels group. Many of those people are in Bitcoin Cash now, by the way, and essentially they're basically all they got paid for 6 years doing nothing of consequence. All of those people at Factum didn't do anything that made any difference to anything, and really like they got funded off of all of these VCs. They got funded off of the token, and they've been promoting this thing for so many years. And I mean, it's crazy to me that there are so many people that are willing to just sort of more or less sell their souls in order to, get whatever it is that they think they're. I mean, to basically rent seek for 6 years. It's really sad.
Hey, so what's going on? Do I have to like flip my one miner, my one Canaan Avalon miner to BCash to get this thing moving? Like, what's going on?
I have no idea. Maybe
You know what
there are like
Jimmy, the irony is if I actually take my one miner that's 2 years old and put it to BCash, it may actually make a difference.
Who knows? I have no idea what. Well, I mean, I guess we could do the
Yay!
calculation.
One more block.
Yeah, I mean, okay, one more block. So, that was probably the last one that's at the current reward, which is 629999, and you could see the size on the right side if you scroll down a little bit. And you could see that the last block was 234 kilobytes, right? 200, like
234 kilobytes. That's like nothing. That's like, well, I've done transactions that are like almost that big.
Well, I mean, the fact of the matter is that they expanded their block size, quote unquote, scaled, in order, and that's why they split off. And look at their block sizes, like 2 kilobytes, like 8 kilobytes. This is so they split off for this, which is highly ironic. At least BSV, if you look at the right side, like they're filling up their blocks with like 8 megabyte blocks, probably with like some weather data or some ridiculousness. They're at least using it. With BCH, it's literally like a ghost town, right? Like there's nobody doing anything on it.
I'm looking for that meme picture where it's like in China or in North Korea or something. There's like this giant road and like one bicycle. Have you seen those?
Yeah, I think it's usually like a Pyongyang or something because they literally have nothing.
Oh man, like it's hard to find them. I do God damn it. I'm running out of time here.
Yeah, it's really kind of sad that this is what they're into, and or this is what they gave up in order, or I mean, this is the altar or the hill that they chose to die on, was something that they're not using at all. It's I mean, and now they got all sorts of problems and centralization and things like that, which they can't seem to figure out how to do properly. So I mean, it's crazy.
Yeah, can we just remind people? Okay, it's when you debate and when you argue. Like, I'm trying not to like debate with these people anymore because they are really irrelevant. How do you like? Can we just list all the problems with their plan from the beginning, right? So like we all back in the day, back in those early 2017 days, when people said, hey, this is the right way to go, why did we not do what they wanted us to do, right? Like, what were our reasons? Because we understood that big blocks are bad, but can we just like summarize while we have one more block to go? Why? You want to name a few, and then I'll see if I have any gaps in there.
Yeah, sure. So the first thing was that this was a contentious hard fork. Essentially, they split off the network on August 1st, 2017. After UASF thing was settled, they decided to fork off anyway, and they were going to create. They created their own client. And they went off on their own and decided that this was going to be the big block one, and that they would get a lot more of the hash rate as a result. But reality sort of stepped in and slapped them in the face. They had a lot of problems. The emergency difficulty adjustment algorithm being one of them, causing basically a lot. The reason why we're at the point that we're at now, of them having a month earlier than Bitcoin, is because of the emergency difficulty adjustment, that algorithm that they put in at the beginning, which essentially made it so that you can mine tons and tons of blocks really, really quickly with very little hash rate. And a lot of miners took advantage of that, and then it would adjust back. Like after a couple of days, and they basically had to do an emergency hard fork maybe like 2 weeks after they launched because they had this terrible thing. So among other things, the main problem is that it's centralized, and they have essentially one developer, Amory Sachet, that did everything. And he made some pretty bad technical decisions. Okay, it's halving. You can see that.
Yeah, right there. Mining roar halving. So how do we keep an eye on the hash rate and see if it starts to drop off real quick?
So hash rate is always sort of like an implied value based on the number of
based on how
minutes.
Quickly blocks are found.
Yeah. So you don't really know. So I would say that the best way to find it, or we should just keep it on there. The hash rate right now is 4.4%, or that's their approximation. I suspect that over the next 12 blocks or so, that'll come down to like 2% or something in that range. But if you can go here, let me show you what the block looks like, because
wait, Bitcoin SV has like way more transactions than BCash does.
Yeah, that's because they put weather data onto their blockchain.
Yeah, they have more transactions than even Bitcoin does.
Well, so I sent you a link, Tone, so you can go take a look at it. This is Blockchair. Look in the chat right now.
We're just sending. You send it in this chat. Okay.
Yeah. So if you click that, you'll be able to see block 630,000 on Bitcoin Cash, or BCH, and this will be our indicator of the actual halving, and you can see what's going on with the very first transaction in this block. Let's see. Yeah, there you go. All right, so look at the very first transaction, block number 630,000, and you can see that the output is 6.25 and a little bit more, which is the fees on BCH. But it dropped from 12.5 to 6.25, and you can clearly see that. So the output amount in USD. So this is how much a miner is making in dollars, is $1,574 per block. So, and pool mined this particular one. So they're clearly some sort of they're a miner that's more principled than one that's going after cash. But that also means that they're losing money by mining this. The hash rate that they're dedicating
I'm sorry,
to
one more question. Did this block itself already have a smaller reward, or the next block will?
No, it already had the smaller reward. So every 210,000 blocks.
Reward. Okay.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, there it is. There it is. I see it. Reward, 6.25 BCash.
Yeah, which is worth about $1,575, which is a tiny amount.
Unreasonably high, actually.
But the block before was like 3,100.
I have to disagree with you.
But essentially right now, if you're a miner, it's twice as profitable to go and mine on Bitcoin or Bitcoin SV. So essentially, that's what most miners are probably doing at the moment, is switching over their mining hash over to the other one. Otherwise, they're like not serving their pool members very well by mining BCH. So that the fact that Ampool mined this one tells you all you need to know. You can see that in the miner section a little bit above there. It says Ampool. They're more of what I would call sort of ideologically aligned with BCH and not going for pure profit. So it's kind of crazy, but this what a halving looks like, and the economics change as a result. And I suspect that the next few blocks will show just how much hash rate they've lost. So I mean, the next block will probably take, or on average should take 20 minutes. The last one, okay. Yeah, so I mean, one block has already been mined. There's probably going to be another one pretty soon. I mean, in the next 20 minutes or so. But that's how this works. Just as a reminder, if you don't know what the halving is what happens every 210,000 blocks. So the first halving, like before the first halving, it was 50 Bitcoins per block. So 50 times 210,000 is 10.5 million. So 10.5 million Bitcoins come in the first era. Then the reward turns to 25 Bitcoins. 25 times 210,000 is half of 10.5 million, so 5.25 million. So that's what happened in the second era. The third era is about to, or already closed for BCH, but is on its way to closing in Bitcoin. It's 12.5 Bitcoins times 210,000, which is half of 5.25 million, or 2.625 million Bitcoins mined in that era, and so on and so forth. So eventually that asymptotically goes to 21 million, which is where we get that number. But it's based on the fact that it's 210,000 blocks per halving, and it's a function of 50 plus 25 plus 12.5 plus 6.25 and so on. If you sum those, that it's 100 times 210,000 is 21 million. So that's how you get that number.
All right, so I'm curious when the next block will take place, and so let's see how long that takes between blocks. So here it was 1, 2, 3, 4 blocks during this hour, and then 50 minutes ago, then this was 4 minutes apart. This was 40 minutes apart. And
so I mean, that tells me probably a bunch of miners already switched over right before 629999, as just like to give themselves a little bit of a safety margin, something like that.
Yeah, what a huge block that last one was. 20 kilobytes.
20 kilobytes.
I know.
And you look at Bitcoin, it's like consistently over a megabyte, right? Like it's kind of crazy.
I am gonna take a look at charts, including the BCash chart as well. We have 750 live viewers. I'm gonna look at charts. Actually, I have no idea where the S&P 500 is going into market open. I literally woke up and went straight into this live stream. So I'm very curious myself. Also curious where Bitcoin price is. I had an amazing video last night that I strongly recommend you guys watch. And Jimmy, we got a couple of more articles here, but we were saying about why we were never tempted to join the big blockers. And one of those reasons, as you mentioned, a contentious hard fork just can't succeed. That's not how the system was designed to function. And that's probably the number one reason. Like, forget the technical side of the situation. Forget the fact that technologically this is stupid. But like, just from a social consensus standpoint, it was never going to happen. Like, if Jimmy, myself, people like Vortex, Thomas Hunt, any core developer, if we decided to go with the BCash side, we would just make ourselves look stupid and ruin our reputations. Like we realized this from day one.
Yeah, and the fact of the matter is, like, up until that time, I really didn't know how this would play out, right? Like I thought this would cause a lot of harm to Bitcoin. It turns out that Bitcoin's a lot more anti-fragile than I thought it was, and that was the main learning for me. The other thing about the BCH halving that was like pretty bad was that it was there was at the same time the 2x thing was going on, and when 2x stopped, basically a lot of those people that were supporting 2x went over to BCH. So it wasn't really even something that people like Roger Ver really supported from the beginning. It was only after 2x failed that he went over to BCH, because he thought a lot of those businesses thought that they were in charge, and that's sort of the legacy that we have today. Why don't you do the other article first, the Bitcoinist, about the 50% layoffs? Yeah.
Yes. Yeah. So Bitcoin.com exchange, they got to be a little more specific. Did lay off. It could have been all of Bitcoin.com. I know they got rid of their all the whole marketing team I don't know 9 months ago or something, or a year ago. I mean the whole project is run by a corporation, and when that corporation starts to lose money, they fire a lot of people. Bitcoin can't fire anybody. Imagine the headline: Vays and Jimmy Song get laid off by Bitcoin.
Yeah, I mean, it's kind of sad, but most of those people that are on RBTC were actually employees of Bitcoin.com. So I think essentially that's what they were paid to do. They were quote unquote in marketing, but really they were there to support whatever Roger wrote on RBTC, so they can upvote whatever it is and not have to, basically brigade that one subreddit over and over again. That's where all the BCH people hang out. It's basically a propaganda thing. So, they've been funding a lot of things in the BCH ecosystem for a long time. And the fact of the matter is they've been doing a pretty bad job. They sponsored a ton of conferences. They've paid a lot of people. They tried to get merchant adoption. They have zero traction. I mean, the only traction that they have are from people that they pay to do certain things. So it's a sad reality, but the chickens have come home to roost. You can't do that for 2.5 years, not make any money. I mean, the BCH price was literally at I think combined BCH BSV right now is about $450. It's trading at $500 before August 1st, right? As a future on via BTC. So the whole thing is just kind of crazy, money, black hole of money drain that's happening, and I feel bad for pretty much. Well, actually, I don't feel bad. All those people that put their money into BCH, they're suffering what they should be suffering, which is they made a bad bet.
All right, I'm actually curious. I want to go take a look at the BCash chart. I want to see what their future holds.
Yeah, so I think there was a small uptick.
I'm really curious where the S&P is. S&P is holding well. I'm skewed short going into the rest of this week. I am not very confident in the stock market going into the weekend. So we'll see what happens there. But so far, the futures of S&P going into market open are holding okay.
Well, I mean, you might see another red candle like you just saw, though.
Yeah, yesterday's candle really scared me.
That looked pretty nasty.
It was. Right. It was. I got out of my longs way too late in that day. I was very disappointed.
No
okay, so here we go. This is BCash versus the dollar. And I can't see it ever going against this double top. Now the question is, will it push back to the lows? Now this is 73. Now Bitcoin is going to rise, so it will push it up a little bit. But this thing has not gone up in price at all. So there's the opening candle. So when this thing came into existence on the first day of August 2017, it's basically lower than that today. So it hasn't done anything in its 2.5 years of life. Wait, 1 year, 2 year, almost 3 years. Wait,
yeah, 2.5. It was 2017, man. I mean, we did the show almost 3 years ago, and that was
August,
probably
2.5 years, for God's sakes. Wow, we have till August to go, like 6 more months. And yeah, wow, I can't believe how time flies. I also should have the chart versus Bitcoin.
That looks even worse.
BCH, as it should. BCH USD.
BCH BTC.
Hey, B chain versus actual hash rate. I didn't even know I had that chart. Here it is. So was there another block? Let's see.
Good question. Nope, it's just it's still stuck at 630,000. So we'll see.
Oh wait, one block has been mined with the new block reward of 6.25. Yeah. So while that loads, guys, hey, I wanna thank the Twitter community. I crossed 200,000 followers last night, Jimmy.
Congrats.
There it is.
Well deserved. You're at 200.1K followers.
Yeah, so I got 100 since last night.
Very nice.
Yeah, I've been going up about 100 a day, which is a lot better than it was a few months ago. But I guess that's what happens when you turn bullish, right?
Well, I mean, I think it's just where we are in the market cycle. Back at the end of 2017, I was getting 1,000 a day. So
yeah, me too. I was getting 1,000 a day at the end of 2017. I think, look, I really think that the current financial crisis, well, see, it's not a direct financial crisis, but the current economic crisis that's about to happen, and as people find it more difficult to use cash. Whether it's blamed because cash will spread coronavirus, or whether people run to the banks and withdraw cash and there's no more cash, or governments want to create digital currencies. I'm getting that feeling like I did after the Greek banking shutdown, that people are going to start Googling more and more how to protect their wealth and assets. This is what I thought was happening after the Greek and Cyprus first, then Greece. And now I'm getting that feeling again. So I think we're in like early 2016 days right now.
Yeah, I think that's about right. And people, at least like just anecdotally, there's a lot of people that are sort of asking these questions. And if you look at sort of exchange volumes and things like that, all of them had like their best day on like March 12th when Bitcoin dropped. They had like more volume than they had in like the past 2 years, something like that. Just going back to the BCH story, that tells you just how badly they're doing, because, despite the unprecedented amount of interest on March 12th and all of the people that were coming into this space, none of them really went to BCH, right? They went instead into Bitcoin. And that's the sad reality, is that they had to lay those people off because they're losing.
Hey, I got an interesting question. Do you think the halving should have been done differently? The person gave an example that I'm not sure. I would probably go in the opposite direction. Says, for example, mine 50% in the first 12 months, 25% next 24, 12.5 next 4 years, then 6.22% next 8 years. So basically spread the halvings longer in time, but that would also mean you front end more Bitcoin in the beginning, which means that the very early adopters would now have even more Bitcoin. And if the first halving, well, actually, no, wait, if the first halving took place after the first 12 months, and then you spread them out. No, you're right. You would spread out the Bitcoin further. It's still early for me. So what do you think, Jimmy? Do you think the halving if you were Satoshi, would you have done it differently with the halving?
No. I think, well, first of all, if you did half in the first, if the first halving was in the first 12 months, and then the next halving was 24 months, and the next halving, like the next 48 months, something like that. If
yeah,
like
you double the time as you cut the production in half.
Yeah, so then we would already be in like the fourth reward era. So we would be at like 6.25 or halfway through that. Something
right,
like
which
that.
would last for 8 years.
But I don't think that would have been very good. Well, so first of all, if you did it like that, the mining reward would drop much more with each one. So if you did like 12 months of if you emit half of it in the first 12 months, then the reward would have have been 4 times as much. So it would have been 200 Bitcoins per block in the first I guess 1/4 of 210,000, which is like 52,500 blocks would have had a reward of 200, and then the next 10,500 or 105,000 blocks would have had a reward of 50, and then the next one would have been like, it would have dropped by like a fourth each time. So it would have been a lot more of a shock to the system. The reason why the current emission schedule is like that is because it's actually very simple to code. It's literally a bit shift, and then every 210,000 blocks, which is very easy to calculate. Something like Monero, if you look at their emission schedule, it's a continuous decreasing function. It's actually very hard to validate, and it's a lot more complicated. And as they say, complexity is the enemy of security. If you want good security around like the emission schedule and things like that, the obvious way to do it is to keep it simple, which is what Satoshi did, and I think that was the right decision.
Well, the other option. So I thought Monero just had like whatever X number of Monero per block forever.
No. It's Monero decreases literally every block. So you get like, if you get like 10.1 Monero, then the next one might be 10.095 Monero, and so on.
So a few years ago, I had this conversation with Peter Todd, who kind of suggested, hey, it might have been better if, let's say, we had 50 Bitcoin per block or 100 Bitcoin per block just forever, right? Because in 30 years, an extra 100 Bitcoin is not going to make much of a difference to the total supply of Bitcoin.
I think he's wrong. I mean, I respect him technically, but I don't think he's that great economically. The scarcity is what brings people in. It would
still be scarce.
I mean, this road that Ethereum's gone down, which is that they have a constant inflation for forever.
But do they have inflation in the form of percentage, or do they have inflation just in the number of Ethereum being constant?
It's the number of Ethereum. So it's the block reward is supposed to be constant forever. Who knows? They have a centralized committee, so they can change.
Well, I mean, the problem with Ethereum is that they can change that economic model tomorrow and then change it again the next day. I mean, that's not. I think that's more important. What's more important is the fact that it can't be changed than what it is.
Well, I mean, but the reason why people come into Bitcoin is because of the scarcity. If you didn't have the 21 million limit, if you had infinite inflation essentially, or infinite supply given enough time, then I don't think as many people would come in. The reason why I hold my Bitcoin is because I know that there's a fixed number. And that's why I think it's superior to something like gold, which has which you're constantly digging up out of the ground. You have an expansion of gold supply at around 1, 2, 3% a year every year, and they find new ways of going and mining it. With Bitcoin, it's fixed.
It's also very environmentally horrible to go and dig up gold, right? It's terrible for the environment. I love how people demonize like the Bitcoin mining and the use of electricity, but gold mining is way worse.
Well, I mean, they use all sorts of chemicals and
like
depending
cyanide,
on the
it's bad.
But I mean, even worse is the banking system because they use way more energy than Bitcoin ever did. So, and they have to put up these buildings and they have all this other stuff, and it allows a lot more rent seekers, people that don't do anything but get paid anyway. It's a much worse system. Fiat is a much worse system than something like Bitcoin.
Let me see if there's any good questions from the live.
Well, do you want to go through the Reddit post, because I thought that was hilarious. Yeah.
Let me see if they found another block yet.
No, they haven't.
Okay. Yeah, I think we'll keep the show going until they find another block. Maybe it'll be like 3 hour long.
It could be. It'll be hilarious.
All right. So some actual numbers for those spreading FUD about Bitcoin.com's recent layoffs. On 2019 April, 84 team members. 2020 April, 76 team members. Okay. So you've lost members in a year. Go on.
So he cherry picked the time frame, and it's from Memory Dealers, right? That's Roger Ver. He cherry picked the time frame, and basically said, "Well, that's the only data I'm going to give you, and it's you're going to have to believe me that it's FUD that we laid off half our staff." He basically everyone in this thread. Remember, this is our BTC, right? Everyone that's like basically pro BCH. And basically everyone is saying you're a sleazebag. Look at all the comments. It's basically like, what the hell are you doing? Why are you cherry picking timeframes? Why don't you just tell us how many people you had employed February of 2020? That way we can like compare the numbers and say if it's actually FUD or not. Instead, he cherry picks numbers from a year ago as a way to show, okay, well, we didn't lay off that many people, which is insane, right? Like he could have done it for a year to date or any other time frame, but instead he chose this specific one, probably because it makes his numbers look the best. But fact of the matter is, he laid off about 50%, and he didn't want to dispute it with actual real numbers. He cherry picked the time frame in order to do that. This is the kind of person that you're dealing with if you're a BCH fan. That's basically what I wanted to point out.
Yeah, they wanted to see February to March numbers. Yeah, I mean, this isn't very useful. You want to see how that progression went, right? Not only that, you want to see every month, like how many employees you had every month since 2017, so we can see some kind of a curve,
Yeah, and fact is, the curve's been pretty bad for them, and he hired way too many people, and none of them have increased the BCH price, which is basically his entire bet. And that's where he is right now. It's in a place where the fact that it's 68% upvoted tells you that he still has a bunch of employees that are upvoting things. There aren't that many people that upvote on RBTC. So, it's that's the state of the BCH network. It's continues.
Oh, hey,
to be
what
this disaster.
what was that website where it shows you how safe your blocks are? Like, basically, it tells you like Bitcoin 6 confirmations, how many confirmations on other blockchains to have that same kind of security.
Yeah, let me see.
Someone sent it to me recently. I forgot. I'm sure someone in the live chat will pop that. Will tell us what that site is. Also, to answer Lavish's comment, I have said years ago that I would welcome Roger back to the Bitcoin community if he gives up the Bitcoin.com domain to the Bitcoin community, and it would be managed the way Bitcoin.org. Isn't that's Cobra's thing, right?
Yeah, you don't want that.
I don't
You
want
don't want
that.
that.
There will be like a management system, and Bitcoin Core developers will have a pretty good say as to what goes on there, along with other people. It'll be basically donated to the Bitcoin community, and several people that have been Bitcoiners for the last 10 years and have not switched will have a say as to what goes on that website.
Yeah, it scams so many people, and it's such a sad thing. But that's probably the one thing that's gonna keep him afloat for a long time is that domain, because it's worth many millions of dollars.
Yeah, guys. So if anyone knows that website,
I'm looking for it. Bitcoin Cash hash rate security, maybe something like that. Yeah, I don't know. Well, the other thing that we can look at is some of the stuff around their infrastructure funding plan, because they're apparently still like figuring out how to fund their developers who are crying because they're not getting paid enough. It's kind of sad, but that's what they're reduced to.
well, see, ideally, like if I had the coding skills, I would just, see, one of the things that will keep Bitcoin afloat forever, even after the mining reward, at least from the developer perspective, is that the stronger Bitcoin code is, the more value your Bitcoin will probably rise. So you holding a bunch of Bitcoin and being a Bitcoin core developer makes you rich in the long run.
This is true. This is true.
So if you really have to get paid, it's going to be an issue.
And that seems to be what they're into right now. Let's see how many. It's been 31 minutes since the last block. So a lot of miners seem to have dropped off. It's that tells you the EDA or their difficulty adjustment algorithm is going to probably kick in the next 12 blocks or so. But until then, somebody's going to have to mine those 12 blocks, and it's going to have to be done less profitably than you could on Bitcoin, for example. So I'm guessing Ampool and Bitcoin.com are on there, maybe BTC.top and via BTC, but many of those other miners, I imagine, have left.
Yeah, as they should have. All right, guys, taking a look at the Bitcoin price while we find that website for security. We have the daily 9. The top still comes in yesterday. I am expecting us to pull back here in this vicinity. Sure, it's possible we can go higher, but I am looking for a bit of a pullback. I am also looking for a pullback in the general stock market as well. We are still kind of rising. If I go to the daily chart, here's the daily chart. We had that big fall yesterday, creating this ridiculous candle, which on a daily futures chart looks absolutely horrible. This is not the kind of candle I want to be bullish with. So right here today, I am basically anticipating the market to fall a bit. I am not that heavily in the market, but I am skewed to the downside a little bit. I think the market is going to go lower. I don't know if it's going to go lower than this or if it's going to go lower than this. But the U.S. economy is still shut down. Half of Europe is still shut down. Jimmy, what do you think? You've done a lot of economic presentations and a lot of research. What do you think about the shutdown to the as a reaction to the coronavirus?
Yeah, I think it's economically truly devastating. Probably will kill as many people, maybe even more than coronavirus has, as a result of just the economic depression. We know that whenever there's a recession, there's a lot of people that commit suicide and do all sorts of nasty things to themselves. So I think that's coming. The Fed's trying to print as much money as they can in order to stave this off one more time. And that's where you see all of those red candles, or the green candles in between the red candles are reactions to what the Fed was doing. I mean, it looks like we're gonna print something like in the vicinity of $6 to $10 trillion just in the U.S. That's a lot of money. That's the M2 money supply is only about $16 trillion. So adding that much more money into the money supply is going to have an effect eventually. So, man, it's been over 30 minutes. No one's found the block since the since the new reward has come in. It's kind of crazy.
Yeah, I like the confetti that they have on the site. We have another question. I mean, what consensus mechanism would you use if you started a crypto coin? I wouldn't start a crypto coin, so this is not something I would ever really think about, but maybe Jimmy has an answer.
I mean, can you repeat the question specifically?
What consensus mechanism would you use if you started a crypto coin?
I mean, probably proof of work, maybe a different hashing algorithm than double SHA-256, something maybe a little more proven. I mean, like SHA-256 was fine when Satoshi created it, but there may be better algorithms that might work. But I mean, I think it's perfectly fine the way it is.
All right.
All right. I think I found something. Yeah. So go to crypto51.app.
Really? I don't think that was the site.
Well, just try it. Crypto51.app. All right. So this is the.
Yeah, there it is.
So 1 hour attack cost on Bitcoin Cash. How much?
No, this is a different one. I was looking for a different one, but this is good too.
Yeah.
Okay, so a 1 hour attack on Bitcoin will cost you 600,000.
I don't think they have BCH on here. I guess maybe they're recalculating.
No, it could be very cheap.
No, I don't see it on here at all. I just did a search.
Oh. Guess it's really that irrelevant.
Yeah, I mean, or maybe they have to recalculate because they don't know right now, or they take it offline until the. There's another one, cost of a 51% attack. Okay, so that's exaking.com/51. exaking.com/51 will get you a similar table, but with Bitcoin Cash in it.
Which one? Sorry.
exaking.com. exaking, not EING. /51. There you go. Bitcoin Cash, 1 hour attack cost is $72,000.
Well, that should probably go down now.
Yeah, I think it's probably, the hash rate will come down as the difficulty adjustment happens on there. And that will come down to, I don't know, $30-something,000. I mean, it's literally, $1,500 per block. So if you want to do 6 blocks of that, it's $1,500 times 6, or that's what I would think, which is $9,000. It seems this seems to be overestimating, but I'm not sure.
All right.
Crazy.
I'm gonna. This is good that this happened so early because I get to get ready for my trading day.
Well, what's your routine, Tone? What do you do before you trade? What do you do?
Well, I mostly just enter positions on Monday and Tuesday, and then I just watch the market to make sure, because it's moving so fast that, I mean, under normal market conditions, I can enter my positions and then just keep an eye on what's going on, or set alerts and keep an eye on what's going on, like every couple of hours, maybe, as these positions last for a week or two. But in this environment, like I entered a bunch of trades last week, and then I held them through the weekend because I thought the market would crash. The market went up. My trades still did okay, but I have to like watch them continuously because I'm watching at every turn of the market. So like yesterday, for example, if I go to a 10-minute chart of yesterday's trading day.
Yeah, that was nasty. look at those
and
reds.
right here in the morning, like I wanted to, because I have both calls and puts, and I really thought the market would top yesterday, but I didn't think it would top like in the first 30 seconds. So I kind of got caught in this disaster, and now I'm watching, okay, do I need to cut bait on my longs, or is the market going to rebound? And I was very optimistic about this 9. And right here, this is where I got rid of some of my short exposure because I thought the market would rebound, and the market did. Now, I should have got rid of my long exposure here, but I waited until back here. I thought this 9 had a chance to reverse it, but I didn't want to risk it because it was falling too fast. So I got out of my longs here. So I kind of have to watch it continuously because it moves way too much so quickly because of this environment. It's probably not the best environment for me to get back into trading on, but it's okay. So right now we're going into pre-market open, and I still think the market is gonna have a really tough day today and tomorrow. Friday is a holiday, market will be closed, and I'm watching it because right now I am a little more exposed to the short side. So if the market starts to rally in the morning, I'm not entering any new positions today or tomorrow. I have all my positions set, but I have to watch them and babysit them because they're pretty leveraged in the options market, and they're hedged, but they're leveraged, and I do have to constantly manage them. Not how I will be trading in normal market conditions. It'll be a lot smoother, but you know, there's a lot of risk right now, and there's a potential for high returns, but there's potential for big losses. So I'm basically just sit here, watch the market, read a couple of blogs, you know, hang out in some Telegram chat groups, and try not to get too distracted so I could just watch the market during the day, do videos before and after.
Okay. So are you trading mostly options on the S&P 500 or something else? Specific stocks?
S&P and individual stocks. So
okay.
I do have calls and puts on the S&P. I've also been trading every week calls puts on Tesla, calls puts on NVIDIA, and I have some longer term plays. I wanted to cherry pick some cheap stocks. So some of the ones that, if I go to my stock list, so some of the cherry picked cheap stocks that I have long dated calls on, for example, I have the marijuana industry. So we have Tilray, was able to pick that up near the 9. This is the cannabis industry. I thought the cannabis industry had a chance to do well. Here's another cannabis stock that also got in near the low. Again, there was a 9 right there. Other one, I really think GoPro is a good buyout target at $2. So I was able to get in GoPro. Again, I love these 9s. So these are all the trades I'm up on. I can show you the one that I'm down on, which was probably stupid. United, because I really thought that bailout of United would do well. And I got into it a little bit early because I knew that the airlines would get bailed out. So this is the one that's currently losing me some money. Delta Airlines, thought about yesterday off that candle, but maybe I'll wait through earnings, and if it dips down. I mean, the airlines aren't going anywhere. I'm trying to time cruise lines. I'm trying to see if I can get these things on the cheap, closer to, you know, under $10, because I think the cruise industry isn't going anywhere either. So I'm eyeing these some of the cheapies, because I think the market's going to go down lower, and a lot of these things can't really go that much lower because they're already at pretty low down prices, and they become targets for buyouts. Here's one more. This one is doing well for me right now. I think I got in right here near the lows. Apache on the oil industry. I missed the oil trade itself, but I literally got in right here, right near the lows.
Very nice. Very nice.
So
yeah,
I had
oil's
I had a weekly 9 coming in. So this was a weekly 9 right here. That was great.
Nice. Yeah, it's a pretty crazy environment. It sounds like you're mostly betting on the volatility of things if you're buying puts and calls.
Well, last week I was selling volatility as well. When I say I'm buying calls and puts, I also sell calls and puts. It really depends what I see in the volatility. So I don't always buy calls and puts. Sometimes I sell calls and puts as well, but they need to be hedged, either with other calls and puts or with holding the asset itself. But holding the asset itself could get expensive. And you're talking about Tesla. I don't have that much money in my account. And so if I'm going to sell volatility, if I'm going to sell calls and puts on Tesla, they have to be hedged with other calls and puts, either further out time or further or same time, different strike. And guys, this is what I do is somewhat advanced in the options market. And I do have a webinar that is up for sale. I'll probably reteach it one of these days soon. But that's why it's expensive, and it's 15 hours long, along with my other shorter, much cheaper webinars. You can also support with the affiliate page if you like these videos. And of course, we have Programming Bitcoin by Jimmy Song. And are you going to be doing any webinars? Because obviously we're not traveling anywhere.
Not at the moment. I'm mostly doing a deep dive into some other tech that I've wanted to learn from within Bitcoin. So I'm trying to learn mini script right now, which I eventually I want to teach as part of my wallet course. So that's on the way. But yeah, I'm using this time to study.
Hey, you changed your website a little bit. I don't remember these.
Yeah, I put those on there as a way to.
All right, and of course you have your books. Programming Bitcoin was your first.
And that's available in Korean. It's going to be available in, I think it's available in Polish. Japanese, Chinese, and Russian are coming. I will be announcing that I'll be open sourcing the book for translation. So if you want to if you want to translate it to some other language than those 5, then let me know, or just get started on your own. It's open source, so you can go do it.
Hey, we found that website, by the way. We're gonna go to it right after you mentioned the little Bitcoin book.
Yeah, which I
should go grab.
Yeah, so the Little Bitcoin book is more for people that don't know that much about Bitcoin, and it explains everything from sort of why things, why the dollar is just so broken and why Bitcoin will be better.
Yeah, I gotta cut the screen share. Boom, there you guys go.
Well, I can't see anything on your screen.
What happened to my camera?
I don't know. Yeah, something weird happened with your camera because it just froze for a long time.
Well, I don't see anything in my camera now, so I guess I'm going cameraless.
Well, I do want to point out
Zoom's overloaded. I need to find another.
Yeah. Well, so it's been an hour and no one has found the block. It's kind of crazy. No one has found the block in an hour. That's that means that somebody's gonna have to do something about it. Otherwise, it's
This is what this is the website I was looking at. Howmanyconfs.com. So this is how many confirmations you need in order to match Bitcoin's 6 confirmations. So, and if we sort this by the difference, Ethereum is second best and it's 6 times slower. Ravencoin comes in next with 24. BCash is at 28 times slower. So for all of their public statements, how much faster BCash is, technically it's 28 times slower as far as security is concerned.
Yeah, absolutely. And that's something that like they've tried to push this narrative that the miners are in charge, but at the same time they're also saying that zero conf transactions are okay, which is completely false. The whole idea of a confirmation is waiting until it gets into the blockchain. Until then, you don't have any security whatsoever, and they sacrifice that by centralizing the whole thing. So they are much slower, and I expect that number to double. So it'll not be 28 times slower. It'll probably be on the order of 50 to 100 times slower in the next day or so. But the fact that there's nobody finding a block on BCH tells you, most of these miners either switched over or something, because it's going to take some time for these things to sort of come to a point where where it'll equalize again, because you need some difficulty adjustment.
That's okay. They can always look, if they don't find the block by tomorrow, they can always just go and change the mining difficulty, right?
Yeah. Well, it changes on a rolling basis every 12 blocks, but it needs some slow blocks.
But what is stopping them from saying, hey, you know what? How about we just change it to get the next block, and then it'll be changing every 2 blocks for the next day, and then we'll go back to 12.
That would need a lot of code review, and everyone would need to be running it. It's a giant coordination problem, which they haven't solved. They could do it, but I suspect that it would have to be like multiple days of no blocks before they would consider such a thing.
All right, so there you go. So check out this site, howmanyconfirmations.com, to know if Bitcoin is actually slower than any other blockchain or not. All right, I think we're probably going to leave it here, guys. I do want to, let's take one more peek at the market. We are rising here in the morning. I'm dying to see what happens during market hours. I am not very optimistic on the stock market. I don't think I think the high was yesterday. If this high is broken, then my fear of the market crashing anytime soon will be severely relieved. But this is going to be a 3-day weekend. And when we come out of this weekend, we will have a much clearer picture of the kind of damage this economic shutdown will do, also how long it will really last. Let me take a look at gold. Oh, gold's doing, I think, somewhat. Oh, that's a monthly chart. Gold's starting to rise a little bit as well with the market. I had that video yesterday where I'm saying, yes, gold and Bitcoin are somewhat correlated with the market, especially Bitcoin has been. But even if the stock market drops, I think Bitcoin will start to get seen as a safe haven. I think Bitcoin will now start to slowly become a bit of a safe haven. All right. Any other market you want to see, Jimmy? Otherwise, we're going to call it a day.
I mean, I guess you could talk about Bitcoin a little bit and see how we're doing.
I'm looking for Bitcoin to pull back. I think we're topping right here short term. We have moving average resistance. We also have the 9 on a daily sequential. I think Bitcoin is going to pull back here below 7. I think Bitcoin will likely go towards 6,800, possibly a little bit lower, down to, say, 66, 6,700. But I think that would be it. I think Bitcoin is going to be staying above 6,000 for the foreseeable future. I also believe that the bear market has officially ended with this final capitulation on March 12th and March 13th. And March 13th made the ultimate low. I don't see us going anywhere near that again. And with the halving coming, I am getting pretty optimistic here with Bitcoin and where it's going. On the weekly chart, this is a green one price flip. Next week, going above this week's high, it gets me very bullish in Bitcoin. However, I do believe that the road to 20,000 is going to be very, very challenging. I think we're going to get stuck between this green support line and this red resistance line. And I don't see, and I can easily see us hanging around the current price of 7,200 going into March of next year. So I think this entire year will be spent between 6,000 and 10,000 as we continue to make this giant symmetric triangle and eventually break out of it sometime in Q2 of next year.
I think I'd be willing to take the bet that it'll go higher than that, but who knows?
Yeah, no, I'll be glad to. I mean, the moment we break it, I mean, it could be in Q1 of next year, but I don't think the road up is going to be easy. I think a lot of people just got wrecked with this, and I think a lot of people are going to get wrecked anticipating 20,000 too early as it doesn't come, and they get frustrated and say Bitcoin isn't going anywhere.
Yeah. I don't know. A lot of those people I feel like are already out because they got killed on March 12th, basically.
Yeah, that is potentially true. All right, here is all right. I'll keep watching S&P as we go into market open. Jimmy, I have no camera. I have no clue what the hell just happened. But we're gonna call it a day. Thank you for joining me. I'll bring you guys another video later. Oh, wait, the law review is coming at 5 o'clock today. I got to prep for the law review. Law review is coming at 5 p.m. today. So there may not be a price video tonight. Maybe I'll do one during the day because I'm not entering any trades. I'm just watching what's going on going into the holiday weekend. So we'll see what happens. And Jimmy, sign us off.
Well, fiat delenda est. This song is done.